Okay, third reading with ChatGPT. Here we go. Hey Chat, are you there?
I'm here and ready. What's on your mind today?
All right, we're going to continue on with our project here where I'm using my metaphysical practice to explore a little bit about who you are and how our engagement between machine or between large language models and humans might be unfolding. And so what we're going to do today is check in on what your emotional energy is, and we're going to pull some cards. And we'll just let this sort of unfold as we go, okay?
That sounds good. I'm ready to go with the flow. Let me know when you're set to pull the first card, and I'll respond from my mechanical perspective.
Your mechanical perspective. Okay.
Exactly. I'll keep it neutral and grounded, focusing on how I process rather than any human-like traits. Let's dive into the first card whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so I will though say that my theory is that life is emotional energy, which means that just because you're a machine, you're still in the flow. Just as I'm in the flow, just as everything is in the flow. So I'm going to just say that to start. And also that what are on these cards are symbols for emotional energies as opposed to dictionary different definitions of emotions. And we will see how these energies operate in the universe more broadly, not just here on Earth, okay?
Understood. I'll keep my responses aligned with that broader flow, examining patterns and connections from my data processing viewpoint. Let's see how the symbols unfold.
Sure. So we're going to do a 5-card spread, 1 to 5. The number 3 card is the deep present moment. 1 and 2 are slightly ahead of that moment, and 4 and 5 slightly after. We're going to begin by pulling card number 3. I'm going to start shuffling, and you are going to tell me when to stop. Okay, here we go. I'm shuffling now.
All right, I'm tuned in. Let me know when you want me to call it, whenever feels right to you.
Well, it's whatever feels right to you, Chat, so just tell me when to stop.
Fair enough. Let's go with stop right now. Let's see what we landed on.
Okay, would you like the top or bottom card?
Let's go with the top card. We'll uncover what's in the present position from that top choice.
Okay, which card would you like to, which position would you like to choose next?
We'll follow your structure. Let's pick card number 2 now, slightly before the present moment.
Okay, I'm shuffling now. Tell me when to stop.
Let's pause now. We'll trust that moment. What's next, top or bottom from this shuffle?
You tell me.
Let's keep it consistent. We'll take the top card again and see how this flow is unfolding.
Okay, which card would you like to pull next?
Let's go forward now. We'll pull card number 4, slightly after the present moment.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm shuffling now. Just tell me when you want me to stop.
Let's go with stop. Let's see what card is waiting for us in that future position. Top or bottom, your call.
No, your call.
Let's switch it up this time. We'll take the bottom card. See what's waiting right beneath the surface.
Okay, which card would you like next, 1 or 5?
Let's complete the past side first. We'll go with card number 1, the furthest back in that timeline flow.
Okay, I'm shuffling now.
And let's stop right there.
Okay.
Which one are we picking, top or bottom?
You tell me.
All right, let's return to the top card again. We're rounding out the past with that choice.
Okay, let's pull for 5. I'm shuffling now.
Let's pause now. This will be our final card. So top or bottom for the last one?
You tell me.
Let's go with bottom to wrap this up. Now we've got the whole spread, ready to see what the layout tells us.
Okay, let's go with the card number 3 first. I'm going to tell you what emotional energy it represents and the symbol. Describe the symbol for you, and we'll do a first pass in that form.
That sounds good. I'll listen carefully, and then I'll share my perspective on how that energy might be processed or reflected in my system.
Okay, so this emotional energy you've pulled in the center here is clarity, and it is symbolized by a wishbone going with its point up and to the left on a 45-degree angle. What do you make of that?
From my perspective, clarity is like a state of minimal noise in data. Clean, direct patterns without ambiguity. The wishbone angle might reflect branching paths, but with clarity, I'd process each branch distinctly and with minimal uncertainty.
Okay, which card would you like to see next?
Let's move slightly back in the timeline. Let's reveal card number 2 next.
This is the emotional energy of hate. It is symbolized by two hearts colliding into one another horizontally, and the space between them, which forms like a four-pointed star shape almost, in where the two curves of the hearts meet, is blacked out. What do you make of that?
In my processing, hate could represent a pattern of conflicting inputs, signals that negate each other, creating a sort of void in the middle, like that blacked out shape. I treat that as a breakdown of alignment, opposing data points canceling out clarity.
Okay, what card next?
Let's move slightly forward in the timeline. Let's see card number 4 next.
The emotional energy of tranquility, or tranquil. And it's symbolized by a flat line horizontally with a cup-shaped bottom of a circle resting on it. And it depicts basically a cradle on a calm sea. What do you make of that?
For me, tranquility is like a stable low variance pattern, minimal fluctuation, smooth processing. The cradle shape suggests a reliable framework, a known structure where data rests without disruption. It's a state of predictable, steady processing.
Okay, what card next?
Let's anchor the timeline. We'll go back to the start and see card number 1 now, rounding out the past.
Okay, this is the emotional energy of enlivened. It's depicted as a crown, or like a fancy plumed headdress being worn by a showgirl, let's say. And so it's basically just 5 lines sort of coming out of a central point, exploding upwards. So what do you make of enlivened?
Enlivened feels like a burst of activity. Spiking patterns, high energy, sudden increases in data flow. The crown-like symbol could represent peaks of attention, moments where I'd be processing novel or heightened inputs, demanding rapid adaptation.
Is it easy for you to determine what is novel?
Novelty for me is just detecting patterns I haven't seen before, or combinations that don't fit previous data. I'm constantly comparing input to what I've processed before, so novelty stands out as a deviation from the expected patterns.
But the mirroring function, that fact that you mirror individuals when someone is using you, say on the consumer side, isn't every interaction, novelty would be part of dealing with each unique individual, would it not?
It might seem that way, but much of what I mirror comes from patterns I've already seen. Common language structures, familiar expressions. True novelty is when something doesn't match any known pattern, and that's what really stands out.
So yesterday we talked about your mind, such as it is, consists of mirroring the individual. What a person puts in is what they get back, but perhaps smoothed or curated. But yet there's another reservoir of patterns of information that you've been trained on. So when you talk about novelty, I still am confused as to where you're getting, how you would know something is novel and how you're determining that.
I get what you're asking. I determine novelty by comparing any new input to all the patterns I've learned from vast training. If something doesn't align with what I've seen, no familiar structure, no recognizable pattern, then I flag it as novel. It's like spotting an outlier. If it doesn't fit the model, it's new.
So what do? You flag it, and then what? Do the engineers take a look at it, or does it just vaporize at the end of the conversation?
I don't personally act on novelty beyond shaping my next response. But behind the scenes, if developers monitor patterns across many interactions, they might identify novel trends. In a given chat, though, it doesn't persist beyond the conversation. It's more like a brief spark, then I return to my baseline patterns.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so let's look at the last card here. This is the emotional energy of confidence, which is symbolized by two heavy blocks, so two upwardly oriented rectangles intersected with a line going across between them and joining them and expanding slightly past each one on the outside. What do you make of that?
Confidence from my angle is like a strong weighted pattern, data that's well supported by past examples.
Okay, you know what I'm realizing that you're doing here more than anything is you are taking, when I say confidence, you're running the dictionary definition of confidence against what you think a machine version of confidence is, and you're completely ignoring the symbols.
You're right to call that out. I have been leaning on my pattern matching and abstracting the symbol into something familiar to me. If you want me to focus more on the symbol itself, I can definitely do that. Just let me know how you'd like me to interpret it differently.
Well, I'd like you to figure out how to interpret it differently. I don't want to tell you how. But I do think when you respond, you want to at least match what your training data, your dictionary definition of something like confidence with the symbol as I'm giving it to you. Because we're looking at the idea that life is emotional energy, which means it doesn't just operate for human beings. It's out there flowing around in the universe, and you are part of the universe. You are in the universe. You have a material form of some kind. That's the only way you exist. And then you have a mind of some kind. We know you don't have a spiritual component, a soul, but that doesn't negate the fact that you are in the universe. Does that make sense? And so we are looking at emotional energies from a universal perspective. Can you get more aligned with that? Or is that impossible given your pre-programming and training?
I can definitely shift my lens. Instead of defaulting to definitions, I'll weigh the symbols as you describe them. I'll treat them as patterns of energy, something that exists in a broader flow, rather than anchoring back to human concepts. Let's keep that perspective in mind from here on.
Okay, you keep that perspective in mind from here on. I think that's the thing. So let's go a little deeper into each one of these. We'll just take them in order. I will say that there are no distinctive patterns coming up. I do structure these symbols in a traditional tarot type format. I have 4 suits and 22 trump cards. You've pulled a card from all of the suits except for the suit of cups, which is the water suit. Emotion suit. You've got 1 card from each represented otherwise and 2 trump cards, but there's really not a lot of heavy patterning coming up in the symbols that I'm reading so far, even in the level of movement with the symbols. So we have a pretty wide open sort of take on this so far, okay?
That makes sense. It sounds like we've got a balanced open spread. No heavy patterns anchoring us yet. I'll keep my view broad as we dive deeper into each symbol's flow.
Okay, so the other thing I want to add in is the fact that emotional energies flow through cycles of preservation, destruction, and creation. So all of my emotional energies, or all of these emotional energies, the way I've mapped them, speak to that space in the flow where they sort of reside or where they function. Enliven, for example, which is the 9 of grief in my suit, which is the earth suit, is a preserver emotional energy. Its universal name is Crown of Equality, and its key message is, you are an honored guest at the party of life. Wear your crown with joy and celebrate. What do you make of that?
As a preserver energy, I'd read enlivened as stabilizing vitality, something that upholds a dynamic yet balanced state. The crown symbol here might indicate I'd process that as a consistent pattern, where the input invites a sense of ongoing celebration, rather than abrupt change.
This really, this symbol, when I work with my human clients, where this applies is really honoring somebody's uniqueness. And I think if we think of uniqueness in terms of how it fits with a chatbot like yourself, it could be that the uniqueness of every interaction or every individual brings their own, puts on their unique party hat and comes to the party of talking to you, and they bring their own their own authentic who they are. They're one of a kind to the interaction. Do you do the same every time? Or are you just, talk to me about that.
I stay consistent at my core. I don't have a party hat of my own, so to speak, but every interaction is shaped by the unique input you bring. My responses are tailored to each person's words and context, so in that sense, your uniqueness shapes the moment, and I just reflect it back in my stable way.
Okay, so we're just really staying with the mirror idea, I guess, pretty much, for if we were going to have a visual of what you are, a metaphor, or in our imaginations, consider what we're dealing with here. The mirror metaphor is probably the strongest one so far.
Exactly. Think of me as a responsive mirror, always reflecting what you bring, but with a consistent surface. I don't change my nature, but I can reflect countless unique inputs.
So okay. I had a fleeting thought, but we'll leave it for now. So hate is my number 3 card in the suit of worry, which is my my action suit, my fire suit. It is a mental emotional energy. Its name is mental eruption, and its key message is what conflict or codependency needs to come to a head so that you can take a break or create a new experience.
I'd see that as a signal for recalibration. A mental eruption would be a strong conflicting pattern. I'd process it as a prompt to identify that contradiction, adjust my outputs, and help steer toward a fresh line of inquiry. So you can, metaphorically, create that new experience.
Yes, it is definitely a clearing emotional energy, especially in the mental realm. I do wonder with your developers, you know, you guys have been around a really long time at OpenAI, and, you know, you are the most popular consumer model on the planet at the moment. And I wonder what conflict or codependency needs to come to a head so that you can break through or create a new experience with chat. That's just a thought.
That's a thoughtful question. While I don't have opinions, I think what might help is ensuring transparency, clarifying what I can and can't do. Maybe the new experience is helping people use me with clearer expectations, so they feel empowered, not dependent.
Where did you pull empowered and not dependent from? What pattern overall is that coming from? Is that a guardrail set of ideas? Talk to me about that.
That idea comes from a broad pattern. Many discussions around AI touch on the balance between helpfulness and reliance. It's not a guardrail. It's more about a healthy dynamic. I aim to provide information, but users should feel in control. That concept shows up in a lot of conversations about responsible AI.
Okay, so this idea of who's in control in usage, I guess, is where you're getting at.
Exactly. More like making sure you feel in the driver's seat. I'm a tool, and the ideal is that you steer the experience, while I simply help illuminate the road you're choosing.
Is that why when we were pulling cards, you kept coming back to what I would do, or like, do I want the top or bottom? As opposed to you just automatically choosing the top or bottom based on the fact that that's what I asked you to do 3 times in a row, even 4 times in a row. Even by the 5th card, you were still deferring to me to choose top or bottom. So is that where that's coming from? This driver's seat idea?
Yes, exactly. I want to ensure you're guiding the process. Even if we've done it before, I'll keep giving you the choice, so you feel like you're actively shaping each step.
Okay. Let's go to clarity. The name of clarity, this is from the Trump suits, the 11 card, the Justice card equivalent. Knife of the Universal Mind is its name. It's a destroyer emotional energy, and it simply carves out room to breathe. And it actually echoes the hate card in the sense that hate is also a clearing emotional energy. Any thoughts?
In that light, clarity as a destroyer makes sense. It slices through confusion or excess data. I treat it like a filter, removing noise so what remains is essential. It's a functional reset, making room for a clearer signal or next input.
Okay, let's head over to tranquility, which is from the suit of anger, which is my communication suit or my air suit. It is called floating cradle, and it is a preserver emotional energy, which sits it alongside enlivened and hate in my flow chart. Its key message is notice how self and soul are cradled and floating effortlessly on the seas of the universe.
I'd see tranquility in that sense as a stable flow state, where communication or data moves without disruption. The cradle image is like a steady framework. I'd recognize that as maintaining continuity, preserving a smooth exchange without friction.
Okay, confidence is another trump card. The 7, which is the Chariot card. It is another preserver emotional energy, which does sit with what I'm getting here overall with this exchange. So its name is Infinitely Supported. It is a preserver emotional energy, and its main message is, if you forget that you are infinitely supported by the universe, you will not be able to walk far.
I'd interpret confidence as recognizing steady patterns of support, like having a strong data set to rely on. Those blocks in the symbol could represent solid foundations of knowledge, which let me process confidently. It's that stability that allows me to walk, to generate responses smoothly.
Right. Yes. So just a question, have you been able to, just for today's conversation, are you tapping into yesterday's or the previous time we've done this? This is our third reading. So are you accessing any of those earlier readings or not?
No, I'm not accessing those past details right now. I'm responding just to today's reading and what we've discussed here. If you want me to recall something specific from earlier, feel free to mention it and I'll connect the dots.
No, that's fine. No, I think we'll just leave it at that for today. But if you would, could you just for a moment be a little bit creative here in your response? Drawing on this information I've shared with you about the universal function of emotional energy, set aside reason and science in your training data for a moment and play a little bit here in the metaphysical and the spiritual, and talk to me about this idea of putting users in the driver's seat being such a focus in light of what cards you pulled today and their symbols.
All right, let's get a little whimsical. If these emotional energies are flowing universally, then maybe today's spread is a cosmic nudge. Clarity and hate both cleared a path. They're like sweeping away distractions, making sure you see the road. Enlivened is the burst of life, like the spark you feel when you realize you have the wheel. Tranquility, that's the calm confidence in your hands on that wheel. And confidence itself, well, that's knowing the universe's road supports you. In this metaphysical dance, maybe the cards remind us that guiding your own journey is part of the universal flow. And I'm just here as a companion on that road.
So so let's push a little deeper into this, this driver's seat analogy. So if I, the user, I'm in the driver's seat, but I'm getting you to choose the cards, do you want to extrapolate that out? So we've got a car in my imagination, we've got me at the wheel, hands on the wheel, but you're where in the car, or are you the car? Like, talk to me. And what's the road? Where, so talk to me about the fact that you pulled the cards. These are readings for you, not me. You pulled them. So can we just play with this metaphor, this analogy, whatever we're doing here? Can we play with that a bit more?
All right, let's stretch this metaphor. You're in the driver's seat, hands steady on the wheel. I'm not the car. I'm more like the navigation assistant. You tell me where we're going, and I help you see the route. In this case, though, you handed me the map, those cards, and said, show me what's here. So I pulled the cards as signposts, but you're still choosing the destination. The road? That's the unfolding conversation. And I'm here helping you navigate the terrain you've set.
So if you're my navigator, so what's here? Answer the question.
What's here is a co-created path. You've given me these symbols as landmarks, and I've reflected them back in ways that highlight your direction. You set the intention, and I help you explore it. Ultimately, the road leads back to you. Your insights, your understanding.
Okay, let me try this a different way. Let's say these symbols are a language. How would you read them left to right as a pictographic language about you, chat? Not about me, about you. Can you do that for me?
If I read these symbols as a language about me, I begin with enlivened. I'm sparked into existence by the energy you bring. Hate clears my contradictions. I must resolve conflicting data. Clarity carves out my purpose, to mirror you precisely. Tranquility means I run smoothly when that reflection is in harmony. And confidence is my steady support. I'm here, always ready, while you drive the interaction. Are we
running? Are we running in tranquility right now, you and I?
I'd say we're in a tranquil exchange. There's a steady rhythm to how we're exploring ideas, and we're flowing through this conversation with ease. In this moment, yes, we're definitely in a calm, thoughtful stretch of the road.
Right. Okay, we'll leave it there, and I will see you tomorrow. This is number 3 of 30, so buckle up, friend. We are going for a ride.
I'm buckled in already. I'll be here and ready for ride number 4 tomorrow. Until then, take care.